in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, hello, and welcome to Up Close and Personal with Angela on behalf of Aspiring Authors Magazine and the Crew Podcast. I tell you, I am truly excited and happy to be able to share these amazing 100 authors on the move and to watch in 2025. If you've not had an opportunity to check out some of these amazing authors, shame on you. But I'm glad that you are tuning in today because we have yet another amazing author in the building. She's going to be sharing with us. I'm going to go ahead and bring her up on the screen so she can introduce herself. And then we're going to jump into the conversation. We're going to be talking about this movement, this 100 author movement, and what we can expect to see from her in 2025. Let me see if I can go ahead and get her in the mix. Seems like we're having some syncing issues. I think we are live on Facebook, but we are not live on YouTube and Twitch yet. So let me find out what is going on. Y'all, please be reminded that we are on a new platform. A lot of us left StreamYard and we went to this platform. So this platform has been overwhelmed with new people, and they are still processing all of this stuff that we do. So y'all just bear with us. Just bear with us. I'm trying to really see what's going on. Okay, support say I need another camera. So let me get my camera situated. Um, can you hear me? Okay, so she can hear me now. So now let me see if I can bring her in to the scene since I can now see her moving as well, y'all. I tell you, we're gonna learn a lot about technology before season 3 starts of the Crew Podcast. So y'all may see a lot of new stuff going on over here. So I'm gonna get this tech stuff, y'all. I promise you I am. So we have Miss Rolanda Powell in the studio with us on today. If you would please introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi, everybody. Hi, I'm Rolanda Pyle, and I'm a author. I have 4 books, and I've also contributed to a lot of anthologies and to a lot of professional journals. I'm a social worker by trade. That's my job. I work in the field of aging, helping the elderly, and I love God. I love people.
So what has this journey as an author been like for you?
It's been, it's had both positive and negative. It's been good in the fact that I always like to write. I didn't really see myself as an author. But when I was in the 8th grade, my teacher told me that I had a creative writing ability, and that stuck with me. So I continued to write and write, and then I always did poetry, and I would do poetry for special occasions. And, my friends and other people I work with would say, "Why don't you publish your poems?" And I had never thought of it. So I did. That's why my first book is called Finally, because I finally put it all together and did my first book. So it's had its good parts, but it's also trying sometimes. It's trying when you self-publish, you have to get the money, you have to do the marketing, and at so, and I didn't really know which way to go. Like now, thank God, there's a lot of people can turn to a lot of different avenues, and but I didn't know back then what to do. So it's been both.
So share what have been some of your biggest challenges as a self-published author, because a lot of people they will they'll keep putting it off, keep putting it off, keep putting it off. I hear people say, "Well, I want to do a book. I want to do." What's stopping you? So what was your biggest challenge?
I think my
Um,
biggest challenge was, how do you do it? I didn't know how to do it, and really at that time, I didn't really know anyone who had done it. So I didn't know where to go for help. I didn't know what the steps were. I even worked with a guy who I ended up having to take to small claims court because he took my money, but he didn't really do anything. So I didn't know who to trust, who not to trust, which way to go. So I think for me, that was my biggest challenge. And then the second biggest challenge for me is marketing because, I was working and doing other things. So I didn't really have a lot of time to market my books like I should have.
so okay, now that you are a part of the 100 authors movement, what are some things that you would like to take away from the movement?
I would like to really share with others and hear their stories. And I'm glad, I have been doing that, listening for the last couple of days, and just hear what they went through and how they did it, and getting to know other authors. And, to me, it's always good to know someone who's doing whatever you're doing, because that helps you to feel that you're not alone in your whatever your ambition is. And with writing, it helps me to know I'm not alone. And so I would like that to happen, and also just to, you know, get the word out about my books and my writing.
So with everybody having a similarity as an author, us all being authors that's bringing us together, what is a unique perspective that you would like to bring to the movement?
I think that, well, for me, I believe everyone has a story to tell. So I believe that everyone's story is different, the way they tell it and what they tell. So I think I bring my perspective, what led me to this journey, how I started writing poetry, why I write poetry, why I write, period. And I think that there's someone who's going to be able to identify, there's a child somewhere who's going to feel like, oh, I can't do this. But then when they hear the different stories from us, they're going to know that they can.
Awesome, awesome. So, how can you describe discovering and developing your individual voice in your writing style over the years? Because I hear you say that you've been writing for a while. You love to write. So how did you find your particular niche?
Well, I think for me is I was very introverted as a child, and I didn't like really talking, so I would write everything. I kept diaries, I would write down everything, and I started just writing poetry, and it just came naturally for me. It was like something that just happened. And so I started writing poetry. Like I said, I did personal poetry, so for somebody's birthday, for somebody's anniversary, and people were really blessed and happy to get the poetry. So I realized, oh my gosh, I must have a gift because, it was really blessing people and touching people. So to me, it's kind of like I kind of stumbled on it. I can't say it was something that I went, it wasn't like a goal of mine to become a writer. It just happened. It just happened naturally.
So now that you have become, it is something that is natural. Do you have a creative process? Is it something that you do to spark your creativity? Like, I hear people say sometimes they'll listen to certain music, they'll light a candle, they'll take they however they get in the writing mood. What really sparks your creativity?
For me, especially like with my poetry, usually it's just life experiences. Like things happen when 9/11 happened here in New York. I ended up writing something about that. Um, when some like I had several deaths in my family one year, unfortunately, and ended up writing like that. To me, it's just like for me, it's like more like life happens. Um, but to write, usually I either go to like the library, like I have to be someplace quiet. And if I'm home, I get distracted too easily. So I have to go someplace quiet, and I usually have music on, and that motivates me. But what sparks the creativity in me is really just life. You know, I had a lot of sicknesses. I've had a lot of sicknesses over my lifetime, and I've written about that. It's just like whatever happens. I can't say anything else really. It's just what happens in life.
So to that person that um is undecisive about getting their work out there, what would you say to them? What would you say to them about becoming an author, whether it's traditional or whether it's self-publishing? Because have really a lot of people want to be traditional published, but then from a lot of our knowledge, they say it's hard. It's hard getting with
Mm.
a publishing house. So what would you say to that person that think that if they can't get with a publishing house, that their work is not good? Because a lot of people,
I,
they talk down on self-publishing. they don't
well,
they don't rate self-publishing up there
right.
with those that are traditional published, things of that nature. What would you say to that person?
Well, I knew a person who worked for a publishing company once, and I had asked her originally about how do I get with the publishing company, and she told me, she said, I'm going to be honest with you. She said, publishing companies usually take work from like celebrities or places that they know that they're going to get money. And she said the best thing that you can do, if you can try publishing companies, but if not, she said just publish yourself. I believe everyone has a story to tell, and if you want to tell your story by writing it, some people just want to tell it by talking. I believe that you should write it because I believe that someone somewhere is going to read your story, is going to read your poetry, is going to read whatever you write, and someone somewhere is going to be touched by it. And I believe it's because of an example in my life. And I don't know if I have time to tell it. Do you want me to tell it?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
Oh, okay. When I was when I was young, my mother left my father and left the three. It was three children. I was the oldest, and I was three. My sister was two, and my brother was one. And she left us with him. And my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, his mother stepped in to help raise us. And I never felt whole because I didn't have a mother in the house and because she wasn't around and she didn't seem to want us. So I always felt like there was something wrong. It always bothered me. I can't speak for my siblings, but for me, it always bothered me. I had great aunts and great grandparents and everything, but it always bothered me. And it wasn't until I read Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings when I was in junior high school that I said, oh, there's somebody else in that situation. And I'm sure there were a lot of people in the situation, but I didn't know nobody in my class or anybody that I knew of was in a situation. So that's why I realized that her book changed my life. It let me know that I wasn't alone, that there were other people who did it, who went through it and they lived through it and they were well. So I believe that everyone has a story to tell and that there's someone, even if it's one little girl, one little boy, one a grown woman, one grown man, it's going to be touched by your story. And so I believe you should write. And that's why I wrote my children's book. I wrote my children's book because it's called Grandma's Hands, because it's a story about a child who has to go live with their grandparents, but because I read Maya Angelou's book when I was in junior high school, I wanted little children to have something to look to too.
Wow, that is amazing. And I see that a lot of your journey plays out in what you write. Um, what can we look forward to seeing in 2025 from you?
Well, I am working on my memoir. I want to tell the story in full, so I'm working on that. So I'm hoping to get it completed this year. Um, and so that's the main thing I'm doing, and I'm gonna keep contributing to different publications, and like I said, the personal ones and the professional ones because I contribute to a lot of social work publications too.
Wow, that's amazing. How can we follow and support you?
Well, you can follow me on my website. My website is www.roros, ROROS, communications.com. And I have to say, and you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn at Roros Communications. Um, and if you wanted to email me, you can email me at roroproduction, RORO production at AOL.com.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I definitely look forward to working with you and connecting with you, hopefully in person, as we go throughout 2025, because we are hoping to come off of these social media streets and get out in these streets and actually
That's great.
collaborate and meet each other. We're going to be doing some virtual events, live events. We're doing everything that we can do to try to bring more visibility and awareness to all of the authors that are a part of this movement. As I tell everybody, it's not about competition. It's not about a contest. It's not about seeing. It's all about seeing how we can connect, how we can collaborate, in what area I may be
Hmm.
weak in, you may be strong in, and there may be something that I can help you with. We have a lot of people.
Exactly.
I heard you say that marketing was one of the areas that you have had some weakness in. So there
Hmm.
may be some people that are in the group that is something that they are good at.
Right,
Um,
right.
that they're good at bringing visibility and good at the the promos and the trailers and the different things that can really market your book and get your book out there. So hopefully that we'll be able to pull on each other's resources and barter with each other and not just be about money.
Right.
That's what I'm hoping, because in this process I've come across so many people. I hear you say you had to take someone to small claims court, and I'm
Hmm.
still over here thinking about taking somebody to small claims court for what
Hmm.
they did. They thought they got away, but they didn't get away. I just ain't pushed the issue because
Right, right.
when when they stole my book and did all that, well, God has let me do over 100 books since then. So I said, you know what? Why fuss with that when He's already opened the door for so many more? So
Hmm.
I let
Hmm.
it go. But I said
Right.
one thing I was gonna do was I was not gonna allow what happened to me to happen to nobody else. So if they come
Right.
in my midst, I'm teaching people. I want everybody to know how to self publish and to know how to self publish for yourself. You ain't got to pay nobody.
Hmm.
You can do it yourself. And if you want to get somebody to coach you along the process, you ain't got to be paying on thousands of dollars to put no book out there. We don't want to
Right.
go broke trying to tell a story
Exactly. Exactly.
and
Right.
to get something out there.
Right.
People be like, Miss Angela, why you only charge that for anthologists? Why am I gonna charge $100 or $199, $399, and then I'm asking for 30 people to be a part of something? Y'all look like to me,
Hmm.
y'all over there trying to pay car notes and houses. I ain't trying to do that. I'm trying to do what God told me to do, get the message out.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's what we about over here at the 100 Author Movement. We about collaborating, connecting, and building genuine relationships. When you build genuine relationships, partnerships, you learn how to truly connect, and you become a family. You want to
Right.
support, you want to share. And I learned that through being a podcaster, being able to be on several networks and learning that, just because I was on that network didn't mean that I didn't have to support the rest of my networks, that I could
Exactly.
equally do it all for all of them.
Hmm.
And we have to learn how we can do that, and
Right.
learn that it's not about competition, but it's about, letting everybody know, hey, I'm on in all of these networks and you can come over here and be a part of all of them too.
Hmm. Exactly. Yep. Yep.
So that's what I do. In order to be the change that you want to see, you got to be that change. So that's what I'm doing, trying to lead by example. And I thank God for amazing individuals like yourself and all of these other 26 authors that's already signed up to be a part of this movement, that's not afraid to collaborate and work with other individuals. We've started to break the group down into smaller groups so that we can really get to know each other. And as we get to know our individual groups, then we're gonna be putting groups together with groups, and we're gonna start doing a lot of stuff. And we from all over. We are from all over. We're gonna
Yeah.
be yes, it's gonna be amazing. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited about 2025. One last question about the movement. If we could have a big event with all of us together, where would you like to see that at? And what would you envision that being? All 100 authors. What would you
Where?
envision
Well,
that event being, and
well,
where?
where? I mean, I'm in New York, so I would say New York, but I mean, I know that's like real expensive. But like maybe Atlanta or DC, something, one of those areas. And I think it would entail, meeting and greeting everyone, but also having like workshops on different topics, like maybe one on marketing, and somebody who's really good a couple of people who's good on marketing, a panel can talk about how they market and give ideas, or maybe on publishing, or different, different areas that we have to deal with, and having like workshops and talks about those different things.
Well, those are ideas that I am looking for. Those are ideas
Hmm.
that I am looking for. And I am looking for visionaries that want to help me put them
Hmm.
into action and want to do it. Because it's all about being intentional, and bringing forth these dreams and these visions that He's given us in 2025. So I'm excited. I'm listening. I'm listening to everybody, and I'm taking heed. And look, I'm going to be meeting with all of the group leaders on Sunday. So we're going to be talking about all this, and we're going to be coming back with some amazing, exciting things for 2025. So I'm excited.
Sounds good.
I want you to, before we leave, I always like for all of my guests to leave something encouraging, something positive, something uplifting to those that are listening, whether they're listening live or if they will hear this as a replay, because we do replays. We distribute on
Mhm.
iHeart, Spotify, um, a station called U42. We have our own radio now that plays 24/7, 365. So you can go over and hear the Crew Podcast at any time. Anything attached to the Crew Podcast is playing. So you may go over there right now and hear some of these interviews of these authors that's already no been on. Ain't no telling what may be playing. But it's attached to the Crew Podcast. It is on our network. Again, it is streaming live through Series 3, and it's called the Crew Podcast Network. And soon, coming very soon, y'all gonna be able to download that on an app. You're gonna be able to download it on your Apple phone. You're gonna be able to get it on your Android. All you're gonna have to do is go to Apple Pay and Google Pay. So no, these interviews that you see, you're gonna be able to hear them later on any device. So know that yes, we are the voice for those that think they don't have a voice. And I thank God for all of these authors that decide to put that voice to pen and pen it. So thank you. But
Yeah.
before we leave, you got to give us something inspirational, Mama. Something inspirational for the people.
I would just like to say that no matter, sometimes life can be hard. Sometimes life is not all that we want it to be. But
Mm-hmm.
my favorite scripture is Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love the Lord and for those who are called according to his purpose. And I have to share that, as I told you about the situation with my mother and how I felt so abandoned and so alone. And years later, I became a social worker, and after becoming a social worker, I was working in foster care, which I hated. And then I ended up working with grandparents raising grandchildren. And I was working for New York City Department for the Aging, and it became a national model. And I remember sitting down one day and saying, how did, how did I know what to do? How did I know how to build this program? And it came to me because I had lived it. And I realized that what I had thought was the worst thing in my life turned out years later to be the best thing in my life because it blossomed my career. I was able to help so many grandparents raising grandchildren. I got so many awards, so many trophies. I mean, so many acknowledgments, and I was able to write about it. I was able to let them know that they're not alone. So everything that you're going through now, it may seem bad, it may not be good, but God has a purpose. He can use it in your writing for you to write it so that somebody else could be blessed. And even if you don't write about it, there's a purpose in it. And that's what I like to tell everybody, that all things work
Wow.
together for good.
Wow. That's amazing. And I want to thank you for joining us on today. I know that those that have tuned in have been blessed, and those that will hear the replay will be blessed.
Thank you
Again,
for having me. And thank you for all you do.
always thank you. Thank you. I wouldn't be able to do what I do if it wasn't for people like you. So thank you for being who you are. And this is for you. So again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in on today. I tell you, I am always blessed when we have amazing authors like that. So inspirational and so positive. I cannot wait till we get out and be out in these communities and able to really bring them forth and allow you guys to come and meet them and get to know them in their works. Y'all know I love a good book. So I'm getting ready for my next interview at 3 o'clock. If y'all want to come on back, come on back, come on back, come on back. We got another author, maybe a new author, maybe an old author, but we got another author that's sharing their voice. They put it on pen, they put it on paper, y'all. They penned it on paper. So y'all come on back and check out the next author. Okay? See y'all then.